Hey, it's Deborah from Create with Compassion. I am a Fun Stamper's Journey independent coach here today to share with you the creation of this card. This video is going to be a little bit unique in that after we create this card, I'm going to share with you a few variations of it, as well as give you a close-up look of the Mother Nature prints that are 12 by 12. I'm so excited to share this video with you, so let's create with compassion. The card I'm sharing today features the Creature Comfort stamp set, the adorable fox and cute raccoon, and I'll also be using the coordinating dies. You can purchase them separately or save 10% by purchasing it as a bundle. I've got just a half piece of the Color Splash sheets from Fun Stamper's Journey. It is a 140-pound cold press watercolor paper that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and so I've got about a half a sheet of one. And I've got my cute fox that we will ink up with the black licorice True Color Fusion ink and stamp that down on one side of the watercolor paper, and then do the same with the raccoon. Because the watercolor paper does have texture, you will notice that the lines in the image stamp well, but not the solid color part of the stamp sets, and that's okay. Most people use lined images on watercolor paper, but I like the look of this on the watercolor paper. Now I've got a 4 by 5 and a 1/4 piece of whipped cream cardstock, and I'm just going to stamp my little fox, kind of the top part of her over here on the left side, and I want part of her tail to be shown. And then I've got my raccoon, and it's gonna go over on the right side of this piece, and I'm gonna try to eyeball it so that it's about the same height as the fox. And if you want to create a coordinating envelope, you can stamp one of the creatures. Here I did the fox down on the bottom left, and a sentiment from the Tag Elements ATS set. This is my favorite stamp set to use when coordinating my envelopes, because you have a variety of sentiment options that are small and fit well on the envelopes. I'm going to go ahead and stamp Different But Best Friends down here at the bottom on my whipped cream cardstock, just down between the two of them. And then I'm going to set those aside and bring in a lint-free rag and my True Color Fusion cleaner, and just get these cleaned off real quick. The True Color Fusion ink cleaner not only cleans your stamp, your red rubber stamps, but also moisturizes them. It's a special formula, since the True Color Fusion ink pads are a blend of water-based and pigment-based dyes. Next, I'm going to bring in a piece of just Denim Days cardstock. You can see I cut a heart out of this earlier. I'm using the Heartfelt Dies and Piercing Element bundle. You can purchase them separately, but when purchased together as a bundle, you save 10%. I'm going to just put a little embossing powder down here, and just have my heart here kind of as a guide, so I can put friends or the family we choose for ourselves. Just some clear pigment ink, and stamp that down. Try not to press too hard, I don't want to smush my letters. Some white embossing powder on that. This is what I mean by smooshing my letters here. I pressed a little bit too hard, and so my letters were flattened more and had more ink where I needed than I needed. And we're just going to heat emboss this. When you're going to be cutting out any of the dies, if you want to know about how big of a piece of cardstock you need, in the back of the catalog on page 334 and 335, it has the dimensions of the dies. So the third heart that I'm using is 3 1/4 by 2 5/8. So that kind of gives you an idea of the size of scrap paper you need to cut out your dies. We're going to go ahead and bring in our watercolor piece of paper and a clear block. I'm going to be doing some coloring with the True Color Fusion reinkers. I've got Riverstone and Pomegranate Splash. I'm just going to shake those up because this is, like I mentioned earlier, a blend of water-based and pigment-based liquid. I'm just going to put a drop of the Riverstone at one corner and shake up the Pomegranate Splash and put that down here at the other corner there. And then I've got the True Color, the Fusion blender, and I'm going to just put a few drops with my Riverstone and about 2 or 3. I think I just put 2 with the Pomegranate Splash. And then I've got just a paintbrush that I picked up from Walmart. You can use any paintbrush. Fun Stampers Journey does have the blender brushes, but I was in the mood to kind of hold a real small paintbrush. So I'm just blending that well, and I'm going to color my raccoon with the Riverstone blend here. And this is watercolor paper, and since I am using the True Color Fusion black licorice ink, the blending solution will interact with that. So I don't really go over the lines, but I kind of go near the lines. And I will manipulate my cardstock in different angles as I color. So that's the raccoon on the watercolor cold splash sheets. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the raccoon on my inside panel of whipped cream cardstock, and you'll notice there is a little bit of a difference between the whipped cream cardstock and the watercolor paper, but they both look really nice. Another paintbrush here. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that Pomegranate Splash with the True Color Fusion. The reason I did a different amount of blender fluid with each one is because I wanted more of a lighter gray, but I want a deep, rich pomegranate splash color. Okay, and there we have our watercolor paper ones and our whipped cream cardstock ones, and you can kind of see the difference in the color saturation as well as the texture, which is kind of neat. I've got my Journey Platinum. I'm going to use that to cut out my heart. And that looks good, I think. And here's my piercing element. That's going to slide right on inside there. And get that evenly around there. Bring in my little raccoon and fox. Get my coordinating dies here. And we'll get these cut out with the Journey Platinum. You can use any die cutting machine you have. Okay, and here's, I've got my heart, and before I take it out of the piercing element, I'm just going to run my thumb along the back. I don't know if you can see, there's some green spots and then some that are just blue, so I'm just going to make sure all of those turn green. And then I can bring that out, and there it is with that beautiful piercing element. Now we're ready to start getting this card put together. So we'll bring in the card base. I'm going to use is a piece of dark roast cardstock cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and it's folded in half. And then I've got a piece of the Mother Nature prints that is 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to take some dark roast True Color Fusion ink and just kind of sponge the edges of that paper. So I'm just going to tap tap and go along all 4 edges here. This is just a Fusion ink sponge cut into 4ths, and they are created to work with our special blend of inks. So we'll put some adhesive on that and apply this to the center of our card front. And then you can either use foam squares or have your heart flat. I think we'll go ahead and use some foam squares. So we'll center that on our card front and bring in our cutesy little creatures here and put some, you don't need to put foam squares on anything that's going to be over touching the heart, but you can put a little bit of tape runner there if you'd like. So for like our little fox guy, I mean raccoon. We'll go about there. And then let's put a couple foam squares on him. I'll do the same with the fox, kind of get an idea of what needs tape runner. Then I'm going to bring in our inside panel. And we'll put some adhesive on this. Put this in the center of the inside of the card. And there's our created card. I would like to show you a few variations of the card. Here's one that's pretty much the same layout, but this the creatures were colored with the watercolor pencils, but I didn't add any of the water because I liked that kind of furry texture. This card has the Denim Days card base with a fresh forest layer followed by one of the Mother Nature prints. This heart has the piercing element, and these guys were colored on just whipped cream cardstock with the re-inkers. And this sentiment is best friends make good times better and hard times easier. That is from the Creature Comforts set. This one has some of the silver and sparkle silks, and what I did was I just made a little mask for the sentiment, placed that on it, and then did my sparkles, and then removed it and added the creatures. They were colored on the Fun Stampers Journey Color Splash, and this sentiment is Life is Better with Friends. Then I did one with the piercing element and some of the Journey twine, the natural, and so that's what that one looks like. And then this is just the Denim Days. Oh, and these two have Fresh Forest for the card base. This one has Denim Days with a Fresh Forest layer, and then the Mother Nature prints with the piercing element colored on cardstock with the True Fusion inkers. And just wanted to give you a glimpse of the Mother Nature prints. They are 12 by 12 double-sided. You get 24 sheets in the pack, and so this is what they look like. I know in the catalog it can sometimes be hard to see the beauty of some of the larger pieces of paper. And here's the other side of that. Nice bold triangles and diamonds. You've seen that one. This one has a varying color here. I don't know if you can see that varying color. So that's kind of a cool sheet. And on the back. Now this paper coordinates with the Mother Nature color family. And you can actually get the Mother Nature re-inkers, ink pads, cardstock as bundles and save money that way. Each of the color family, Confectionery Days, Party Pop, Mother Nature, Rich Sorbets, all come in the same pattern, but features the colors from that color family. And this is the back of that one. So that is all of those, and they are nice, good, sturdy cardstock. If you're interested in knowing about what colors coordinate with the different paper prints, just give me an email at deborah@createwithcompassion.com. I'd be more than happy to send you this PDF. I want to thank you again for joining me today as we created with compassion. Have an awesome day. Goodbye.